You know, my father once said to me that our family has a history of self-sabotage. It sounds like yours does too. And if it doesn't, you've started one.
It's hard, man. It's hard not to.
Let me ask you this, not to get into serious topics, because there are a lot of silly topics I want to talk to you about, especially because you and I love a lot of the same things. And we have very entertaining conversations outside of this podcast. But I do want to ask you this. If you want to share an opinion, a political opinion of any kind, do you ever think about what is the blowback going to be to me because I am a public figure, I'm not just a person?
I guess I'm a public figure. I guess I'm more public than most.
You're an award-winning filmmaker who also is about to release a stand-up special. I mean, you are not just a layman.
Okay. How would you put it that way?
Yeah, I was gonna say what a terrible compliment to take. Yeah.
Do I think about it? You know, it's funny. It's like I just recently snapped again, and well, like
What do you mean you snapped?
well, in 2016 I really snapped, and like I got
Politically
like in 2016 I got like active to the point where I'm like I don't ever want to be this active again.
Okay.
And recently I've been like, you know, pushed into talking about it on social media more than I'd probably like to, but I'm doing it. Not to the degree I was in 2016. I just like, I put my thing out there, do what you want. And like, speaking of what happened yesterday, it's so funny.
This is the Tony Hinchcliffe.
Yeah. The whole rally is funny to me. And what's also going to be funny is what I'm saying now will be proven correct or wrong by the time this is released. The Madison Square Garden rally is the first thing that's made me re-believe Kamala's going to win. I'm just like, I looked at that rally and I went, nobody who wasn't voting for Trump saw what was happening at that rally and went, all right, he's racist enough for me. I didn't know if he was racist enough, but now that I saw the rally, I know they're racist enough for me to get my vote. But like I don't think there's I don't know if there's a single person in America who decided to vote for him because of that MSG rally. I do believe that there are people who were either on the edge, maybe very soft voting for him, who got turned off by that and might not be voting at all, or have been pushed to voting for Kamala.
I don't know about the last part, but I think maybe push to not vote is in there. The question is how many of them from those swing states are the ones who are not voting. By the way, I want to talk about this more. I do want to introduce the tea. So our listeners steep with us at home. So for those steeping at home, we are drinking Smith Tea's Golden Light. It is a turmeric-based tea. You steep it at boiling for 5 minutes. Do you drink a lot of turmeric tea or tea at all?
I sometimes do when I'm sick.
I like that. That's pretty good. What do you think?
Yeah, I like it.
You drink it when you're sick. That's kind of it, though. Not a big tea drinker.
Comedians in condos drinking tea.
We need a tea word. Truth tellers in townhomes drinking tea. There you go.
I would drink this tea.
I like this tea a lot.
Yeah.
You know how I found out about this tea? I was doing shows in Portland, and I got introduced by a lovely comic named Chase, and he was like, hey, up next, this comic is, loves tea, has a tea-themed podcast, blah, blah, blah. And then one of the comics afterwards said, you're in Portland. Have you had Smith tea?
Oh.
And I was like, no. And I ended up having Smith tea.
So you're
and
a
fell in
true
love with
tea
it.
connoisseur.
I love tea.
You love tea.
I thought you knew that about me. Did you not?
I did not, but it makes sense.
I drink tea every day.
If I was asked, like, name a comedian who you think's really into tea,
Yeah.
you wouldn't have been far off from who I'd pick.
No, I drink. I mean, listen, I had a cup of tea earlier today. So this is my second cup of tea, but I also drink coffee. As New Yorkers, I feel like if we don't drink coffee, people go, who are you? What are you doing?
And you know what I've been drinking a lot of, and almost to the point where I'm worried about it. As I've
booze.
No, well, no. The Celsiuses.
Okay, so let me dig into this a little bit. You can roll your eyes at me. I'm scared of energy drinks.
I think you're making the right choice.
but
I think I'm making the wrong. I swear to God, my pee is glowing. I'm like urinating, and like it's like when you open the briefcase in Pulp Fiction, like looking at me in the toilet.
Hold on. Is this replacing coffee for you, or you are drinking coffee and then having a Celsius?
No. I'm drinking Celsius. I'm waking up in the Austin Silver is a great term for not Celsius specifically, but he calls them breakfast sodas.
Oh my God.
I wake up, I have my breakfast soda. I'm worried that everyone's drinking these Celsius as we're flushing those toilets and the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles are growing in the sewers below us.
You've got Celsius rats who are going to come take over the globe.
I look at it, I'm like, this can't be healthy. This can't be a good thing.
It's plutonium. What does it taste good?
Yeah.
Does it make you jittery?
No.
So it's a better caffeine intake than coffee.
Honestly, I think so. I think I like the effect more. It's subtler to me.
Interesting. Celsius is never in subtle. We're not in the same sentence for me. I don't drink.
But this is the first energy drink that I've been like committed to.
Okay, but
I was a coffee drinker, and recently I've become a Celsius drinker.
But I don't think you can look me in the eye and tell me that you never were doing some Red Bulls.
No, but a Red Bull for me is something I have later in the day if I'm like tired and have something I have to do.
But you wouldn't do a Celsius in the afternoon?
I would do a Celsius in the afternoon. Now, I actually am more likely to do a Red Bull in the afternoon if I need the boost of energy, because the Red Bull hits me like I feel it more.
There are some things, like a good example, because I think you and I have talked before about going to the gym. Like, I don't do pre-workout. I don't do coffee before the gym either. And then a lot of people just tell me, cool, well, you're missing out. Like, it's making your gym performance less effective. And I'm like, maybe they're right. But like, I'm nervous about introducing some of this shit into my system. Honestly, part of me is fearful I'm going to love it.
You are. I do.
I've never done a drug in my life. And I don't need to do any of them. But part of me is like, fuck.
Never smoked weed?
Not once.
Amazing.
Yeah. Never eaten it. Never done any of it. But I wonder, like, maybe I would like it. But now I've made it so far.
They're drugs, bro. They're not like ruining the world because people don't like them.
Well,
they're not crumbling societies because people.
But that's my fear is like what? Okay.
People like them so much that there is an epidemic of fentanyl killing people, and people are like, we don't have any fentanyl testing strips, but I do have this coke, and what are the odds?
Yeah. In LA? Hi.
Yeah.
I think like, okay, so up until April of this year, I didn't have a gaming system in my house. Not for decades. Did not have a gaming system in my house.
And now you're like, when are you going to leave, Josh, so I can play more God of War?
Yeah. Listen, I got NBA 2K. I'm in the championship right now with my fantasy drafted New York Knicks. Like, yeah, I want to get in there. But like, I didn't have it because my fear was that I would indulge my desires so much that I would get nothing done. I feel the same way that like, if I started taking edibles, would I do fucking anything? Would I do anything other than sit on the couch and just pop an edible and watch a movie?
So I didn't quit smoking weed, but I stopped smoking weed, if that makes sense.
Okay, you didn't officially quit, but you've discontinued for the time being.
Well, the truth is I was a huge pothead.
Okay.
And then a combination of I started having anxiety attacks when I would smoke and got really back into stand-up hardcore. This is around when I started doing stand-up really hardcore, I stopped smoking weed.
Oh, I see.
Because I started liking the high of getting up on stage more than I liked the high of getting high. And
Sure.
And when I'd smoke weed, I wouldn't want to perform. So I started not smoking because I wanted to do stand-up more, and then I just kind of stopped. And I smoke occasionally. I took a hit last night.
Sure.
But when I was watching a horror movie with a friend, and they brought a joint over.
We were going to test you at the end of this episode. We drug test all of our guests.
Nice.
What was the horror movie?
Well, actually, so last night we were going to watch a horror movie. Then we started watching Dracula Dead and loving it. And
don't know what that is.
It's a Mel Brooks parody of Dracula.
Excellent.
And as much as Mel Brooks is like the reason I got into comedy, it's just not his best movie. And we stopped watching it and started watching the Coppola Dracula. And then my friend went home.
Was this a friend or a friend?
Friend.
Okay. Well, listen, I don't know.
Unfortunately, I only have friends right now.
Yeah, but listen. It's so funny. Jude and I were talking about this off the mic, which is like when you are in a relationship, it is harder to be productive And maybe that's not a bad thing, right? But that is a reality. So like,
Well, a lot of me being productive is trying to value myself for a relationship. Once I get the literally, this is swear to during the pandemic, I wrote half of a novel. I finished half of a novel.
that sounds like something you would do. Yeah.
And then I started getting laid,
Yep.
and I haven't touched the novel. I think I picked it up one time, and I was reading. I was like, "Oh, it's pretty good."
I should finish this.
I should pick this back up again.
Because that is the other piece of this, right? Is like you are, from an outside vantage point, and feel free to disagree with me. You might. You are a productive individual. Okay. So you had that web series that was very popular. I know about that.
No. The web series was incredibly unpopular. However, it
Your
won a bunch
mom
of
says
awards.
it's the favorite.
It won a bunch of awards, and I thought it was great. I still think it's really good.
I believe it.
It just I can't even tell you how many mistakes I made like with regards to how I released the web series. If I could write a book how not to release a web series.
I'm about to drop one, so that is very funny. Because now I may need to pick your brain. I'm just going to put it up on YouTube and just let it rip.
So for me, I made my whole idea of making a web series to begin with was I was like, all right, I could try and make a movie. I could try and make like a TV pilot. I can try and make a web series. My plan was I'm going to make 3 episodes, use that to raise the money to make the other 6 episodes, and then release the whole thing. Made the first 3 episodes, took them down because it was like, I was like, I want to release it as a whole. I was like, it's just the first 3 episodes of the first season. Instead of thinking to myself, these first 3 episodes are the first season, and the money I raised is for the next 6, which is the next season. So then I re-released the first 3. And by that point, it was such an oversaturated thing where there were so many out that it was like, harder to stand out / I'd already released it. So that was mistake number 1.
For everyone listening at home, that is a straight blueprint on how not to release anything.
It gets way worse. This place that was starting a web series like channel contacted me, and they're like, hey, we're starting this new web series platform. And we were like looking at a bunch of web series online. Yours was one of our favorites. We want to make it one of the first 10. Would you be interested in doing that?
Sure.
And there's like the tiniest, most insignificant amount of money that you'll get. And I'm like, yeah, great. Sounds great. I had this like Zoom meeting with them. The Zoom meeting weirded me out a little bit because they were both sitting in their cars talking to me. In like Minnesota or something, but I was like, whatever, who cares? The web series is not doing anything anyway. Send me the contract on November 6th, 2016. And I was like, I'll read it tomorrow. And I was like, so sure Hillary was going to win and everything. Then the next day, Trump wins. I sink into like this deep depression / gotta get out of this country. Gotta get out of this country. Gotta move to New Zealand. November 8th, those guys contact me. They're like, hey, just checking in on the contract. I'm like, I don't even want to read this right now. I got to figure out how to deal with the, new civil war that's about to happen. I'm like, I changed my mind. They're like, okay, well, let us know if you ever change your mind. Didn't do it. Didn't sign. Just didn't want to read the contract.
You know, my father once said to me that our family has a history of self-sabotage. It sounds like yours does too. And if it doesn't, you've started one.
It's hard, man. It's hard not to. I don't think I'm a self-sabotaging person anymore.
Okay. But you were. You acknowledged that at one point you were.
I would say that at that time, I was definitely, I hadn't been in therapy yet. There was a lot going on. There was chaos. Can I tell you one other web series related story?
It's your time, baby.
This isn't exactly a self-sabotage story, but it is hilarious.
Cousin? Okay.
So we did well on the festival circuit with it. And we got into the Miami Web Fest. I contact the Web Festival. I'm like, hey, me and the star of the show are coming to the festival. I was just like letting them know, And so at the Web Fest, we get there on like, it's like a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday morning event. And like the first thing on Thursday is like the opening night party. And my friend and I go and we're there and there's like 5 people there from the festival. And we're like, okay, this is kind of disappointing, but I guess people are just coming tomorrow when the festival starts. The next day is the screenings and there's 2 rooms. there's the Flamingo Room, which is gorgeous. It's kind of like the Roosevelt like theater.
Sure, love that theater.
But like Miami-ified. And then there's the other room where they're doing screenings, which is like a gym with these wall-sized windows and like a very like translucent curtain hanging over it. Every single film that people are there for is playing in the Flamingo Room.
Of course it is.
Except for ours, which is somehow programmed in that other room, which leads me to believe that they thought I wasn't coming, despite the fact that I told them that I was coming. They come up to me, they're like, hey, after the screening, if you want to go into the other room for the Q&A, you can do that. I'm like, oh, so people can ask me questions about the film they didn't watch because it didn't play in the room with everybody else's film? So I was like, no, we're not doing that. We left. Me and my friend who were staying there were like, should we go to the party tonight? And we're like, let's fucking go to the party tonight.
Okay.
So we go to the party, which is at the same location as the party from the night before. And we get there and there's like nobody there this time. And we're like, what is even going on with this festival? So we just leave to go out in South Beach. We go out in South Beach. We get drunk. We go back to the hotel room. And my friend, who's a little bit of an instigator and co-star of the web series,
Sure,
says to me, he's like, should we write them an email?
No.
Should we write them an email being like, is your festival even happening? And just like tell them, tomorrow's the award ceremony. Should we even show up? Is anyone going to be there? Wake up with a response from them like, yes, the festival is happening. They sent pictures of the party from the night before with lots of people at it. We didn't look at the time. We just thought it was the same time as the opening night ceremony, but it was 2 hours later. So we got there 2 hours before the party started, and we're like, where is everybody? This is the best part. We're at the award ceremony. They're giving awards to everyone. They're like making up awards to give to people. We're winning nothing. It gets to Best Director. My show's called Best Friends Web Series. Come up, they're like, and the award for Best Director for a web series goes to Best Friends. I'm like, everything's right. Everything's correct. I start to stand up to walk up to the stage. They go, forever. And then this girl goes, ah! Her show was called Best Friends Forever. She won Best Director. Thank God she screamed, or I wouldn't have heard that and would have walked up onto the stage to collect an award. I did not win.
Jesus Christ. The most interesting piece of this whole thing for me is that when you were describing this story, you go, this isn't really self-sabotage, but it's a great story. Yeah, fuck it isn't. How is that not self-sabotage?
What part is the self-sabotage?
Let's see that you...
Oh, the email?
Well, the email is hugely self-sabotage. The fact that you decided to get hammered and then email is self-sabotage.
Well, we weren't like, let's write an email, but first.
Sure.
The truth is, like, awards, whatever, award would have been great and everything. That would have been great to win Best Director. That would have felt good and cool. But really, it's like I went to this festival to be like, hey, mom and dad, this thing you like really like think, what is our son fucking doing? Like, hey, I'm in this really cool festival.
I don't think they're thinking that.
Yeah, to a degree. I mean, my mom's like so crazily supportive that she just thinks everything's great. But, it's a scary thing for your kid to do when your whole life has been like, become a doctor.
Was there no part of you upon graduating college that you were like, I do need a very steady 9 to 5 for some sanity while I figure out my creative journey?
Well, it was a crazy time graduating college because I graduated in 2007, so it was like right when the financial crisis hit.
Yeah, I graduated not so far from you there.
I did have a job. I mean, I've told this story on so many podcasts.
Don't give me your soiled tales, Josh.
I mean, it's the best story that's ever been told on your podcast.
Give me a little.
I tell it on so many because it's the greatest all-time story. But
fine, give it to me.
I worked at this company, Troma Films. It was a schlocky B horror film company.
Sure.
And they used to have a really cool office in Hell's Kitchen, which is where it started when I was working there. And then that office moved to Long Island City, Queens while I was there, which was way worse. I was basically living in an attic in in Union Square that I paid $1,300.
You were Anne Franking your way in Union Square.
I had cool roommates. I had a huge crush on this one girl I lived with at the time.
Well, that always works out well, dating a roommate.
So there was this place outside of my office. It was like a fried chicken place.
Sure.
And I kept wanting to go there, hadn't gone. Finally go. Get the worst food poisoning of my entire life. I'm up all night. It's the worst I've ever felt. It's the worst food poisoning I've ever had. And I've had it a few times. It was like devastatingly bad. My boss, whenever someone would call in sick at work, would always go, they're probably just faking it because they don't want to come into work. So with the worst, no sleep, worst food poisoning I've ever had in my life, I take the train to my office, get upstairs. He sees me, takes one look at me, goes, Jesus Christ, Josh, you look terrible. Get out of here. If you're sick, just call. I go, thank you. I walk downstairs. I'm standing outside of the office. I just shit my pants. There's no warning. There's nothing. I don't even know it just happens. And it's like bad. It's like a lot. And I turn around and I look at the office full of my boss and all my coworkers. And I say to myself, I'm like, none of them can ever know that this happened. And I'm like, I'm not in Manhattan. There's no taxi cab. So I walk 20 blocks in the snow back to the train station, get on the train. It's still rush hour, by the way. It's like a busy train, and everyone's like, They start just like forcing their way through. Everyone on the train starts forcing their way through the doors into the other packed cars. And they're just like waiting at the car for the door to open so that they can run out to get into another car at the next stop because I smell so terrible. I haven't even gotten to the worst part of this whole thing. Can you believe that?
Stunning.
Can you believe that? I get to my apartment and I'm just like, my clothes, I'm like, these clothes.
You got to throw them out. Those are done.
I got to throw them out. My apartment is right across from the trash chute. I take off my clothes. I take out my phone. I throw my clothes down the trash chute and immediately realize I didn't take my keys out of my pockets. I'm now standing naked in the hallway of my apartment building, covered in shit, holding my cell phone. And have no way. I'm like, I'm going to go to jail. I'm going to go to jail.
Jesus Christ.
I like bang on my apartment door where my roommate, who's this girl that I have a really big crush on, is. So I cover the peephole and I am like, Abby, please, you have to listen to me. I need you to unlock the door and please go to your room. I'll tell you everything that happened later, but please just unlock the door and don't look at me. If you are my friend at all, you will do this for me right now. And she did. She unlocked the door and she went to her room and she did not look at me. And I went just directly into the shower and cleaned myself up. And
that has got to be the fucking most insane story. I have no words. I mean, Jesus.
Oh.
We have to get to the first segment. Are you ready for the newly friend game?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Well, be less excited about it. Jesus. So the first segment is called the newly friend game. Excuse me. Grab your whiteboard. Okay. So the way this works is it's like the newlywed game, but we're friends. I'm going to ask you a question. Mm-hmm. You are going to write down your answer. Do not say it out loud. I'm going to try and write down what I think your answer is. Then we will flip our boards and see if we got the same answer, and we will do the same or a similar question for me. Now, you and I both share a love for film, and we both love a lot of films that a lot of people love. But I'll bet that we also both love films that a lot of people hate, specifically the critics. So here's what I'm going to ask you, and don't say your answer out loud, write it down. What is a very poorly rated film on Rotten Tomatoes that you like? 1, 2, 3, flip. You said Joker 2 and Speed Racer. I said Jack, Grown Ups, and Ishtar. Do you like all three of these films?
I don't like Grown Ups. Jack and Ishtar. So here's the thing for me.
I knew you'd fucking like Ishtar. I knew it.
This is the thing for me. I love Bold.
Okay.
I would rather watch a Bold failure than a mediocre movie. I'm far more interested in swinging for the fences and whiffing than getting a base hit.
And you think that these are outside of grown-ups? You think that Jack and Ishtar are
Huge swings. Jack and Ishtar are ridiculous movies.
also? Well, Joker 2, that's recency bias, but yes, I know that you like it.
Okay, I was like, you could get like it was the first thing that came to my head when and I didn't like Joker 1.
Well, yeah, I didn't love Joker 1 either. But
that's right, we talked about it.
Yeah, I told you on messaging, and it would have been unfair for me to write Joker 2 because I know you don't like it, or I know that you like it and other people don't. But what I told you is I do not dislike who I'm about to say. I do not have any dislike for him. I don't gravitate toward Joaquin Phoenix movies. The Joaquin Phoenix movie I love is Her. Otherwise, I don't really gravitate. By the way, Her, huge swing.
I don't gravitate towards Joaquin Phoenix movies typically either, but
I know exactly who you gravitate to.
When people hate a movie, I'm intrigued. And it's kind of like when people overly love a movie, I'll sound like I hate the movie more than I do. And when people overly hate a movie, I'll sound like I like the movie more than I do. I pulled up my list on Letterboxd of what I call great movies that bombed and or got bad reviews.
Don't read it yet because we're going to do the same question for me. So let's do the one for me, and then I want to hear that list. 1, 2, 3, flip. Under the Silver Lake, I wrote down Collateral Beauty and Saving Silverman. Now, let me touch on yours before I write down mine. I had such high hopes for Under the Silver Lake. I mean, such high hopes.
I'm saying it seems like a movie you would like.
Do you know what Collateral Beauty is?
Remind me.
It was a Will Smith movie about 3 actors that pretend to be the ghosts of Christmas past, present, and future because he is depressed and he's starting to believe it. That movie I saw before the critics saw it. I saw it before it was released. And I remember thinking, this is schlock, and I love it. I was locked in. I happen to have a soft spot, understood it's not great to say out loud now, for Will Smith movies. And so I came out and I said, you know what? I don't care what the reviews are going to be. I liked that. The reviews come out, it clocks at a 14 on Rotten Tomatoes.
If Will Smith came out with another movie I wanted to see, I'd go see it. I'll go see Mel Gibson movies.
No, that I won't do. I won't watch Mel Gibson movies.
I just watched a Mel Gibson movie.
I'm sorry to hear that.
It was really good too.
What was it, Father Stew?
No. It was called Dragged Across Concrete.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, and I'm not going to watch it.
Yeah,
I take a very hard stance.
I don't even think you'd like it.
Well, I take a hard stance. I'm not watching Mel Gibson movies, and I don't listen to Kanye West. Also, Mel Gibson just came out and said more offensive shit within the past week.
He's terrible. They're both terrible. You know, I used to have a joke about how it's like about separating the art from the artist. And I'd be like, I don't like these people because of their bad thing. I don't like these people. I don't like the bad things they've done. I just like the good things these bad people have done. That's it. I don't want to watch a stand-up special where Louis is jerking off. I don't want to listen to an album of R. Kelly peeing on girls. But I find like Dennis Quaid. You know that he's shitty too?
He's a Trumper. I know that.
He's a Trumper. Yeah, that makes you shitty.
Okay, got it.
Sorry to all of Josh Lanzette's Trumpy listeners.
Yeah, I was going to say, I would have to look. I don't know how to find that out. I don't think we have a lot of Trumpers.
Did you see The Substance?
I can't watch it. I told you that. I told you over message I can't watch it.
It's so good, and he plays such a piece of shit in the movie, and he's so good at it. And it's like, of course he's good at it. You know what I'm finding? All these actors that play pieces of shit in movies and are great at it, oftentimes in real life, not too far from the truth. James Woods, one of the best pieces of shit in movies.
I'll bet you love Videodrome, don't you?
Oh, Videodrome is great.
Ugh.
But my favorite's Casino.
Okay.
Casino's amazing. Have you seen Casino?
Of course.
And James Woods is so good.
It is so funny.
Lester.
Like when I look at all these horrible people, I think I have a much easier time not watching them. By the way, just to wrap up this conversation, Saving Silverman was my other one.
I like Saving Silverman.
I
Comedies don't count as bad reviews. Okay. There are so many great comedies with bad
I don't
reviews.
know what it's reviewed as. Okay. I just learned the other day that Can't Hardly Wait, one of my favorite movies of all time, is poorly reviewed on Rotten Tomatoes.
People don't know how to read comedies. Critics suck at comedies.
I think comedy is harder to do than drama. And I don't know if that's a hot take. I really do believe that.
Well, you know what? I think it's a good take because I think we see so many comedians transition to drama
Yeah.
way better than we see dramatic actors transition to comedy.
You know who I'm really excited to watch do that? Liam Neeson in the new Naked Gun movies.
It is interesting, and the whole thing about Leslie Nielsen, which is actually a very similar sounding name to Liam Neeson.
It's really similar. Now that you just said that.
I was struggling to think of Leslie Nielsen because I was like, Leslie.
Do you think they did that? Do you think any part of that was intentional? It feels like it.
I don't know, but Leslie Nielsen was a dramatic actor, and then he switched to comedy. They gave him the most absurd lines to say, and he just said them dramatically, and it became so funny.
Well, you know that Charlie Brooker used to do A Touch of Cloth, which was a very hilarious, all pun-driven show in Britain, and then went on to do Black Mirror. When you think about your career, okay, so we have seen you write half a novel. We've seen you do a web series. We've seen you do a documentary, and you're about to release. I don't want to say about to. In probably in the next several months, are going to be releasing a stand-up special. Is the next step acting? Is the next step drama?
Well, I mean, I star in the web series.
Well, sure, but now, right now, you're doing this, imagining for a moment this may take you to a different level.
Here's like an interesting thing. So I really want to make a narrative movie.
Okay,
that's like what I want to do, and I've written a bunch. It's interesting, like when you write them a long time ago, it feels
dated, stale.
Not even it feels different. I feel different.
Well, it's anachronistic to you now.
Yeah. But it is interesting. Like I have some ideas. We can talk about them. Man, I want stealing these great ideas.
Yeah, of course not.
But
I think all your ideas are starring James Wood. Yeah.
James Woods, Mel Gibson, and Dennis Quaid.
And John Voight, and oh my God, what's his name? I'm forgetting
LaBeouf.
right now. Okay, are we I guess he's in that list now. That's sad. Oh my God, what's his name? Famous director. Gran Torino.
Clint Eastwood.
Clint Eastwood. There you go.
I just kind of feel like enjoy things. Like stop letting these bad people ruin your enjoyment of their things.
What I always say is if my engaging with content is going to benefit a bad person, then I don't want to do it. So I'll give you a great example, right? I don't listen to Kanye because Kanye spews a boatload of anti-Semitic shit, and that'll just put more money in his pocket if I'm streaming his shit. I don't mind I don't do it regularly, but I wouldn't mind as much streaming Michael Jackson because he's dead. So I'm not benefiting him at all.
I'll give you two quick things.
Please.
So my best friend is gay, and him and his boyfriend years ago, like not that long after the Chick-fil-A thing, when Ender's Game was coming out and all that.
Oh, Orson Scott Card. Yeah.
All that Orson Scott Card homophobia stuff came out. They were like, want to go see Ender's Game? And I was like, sure. And we went to go see the movie, and they were like, should we grab Chick-fil-A on the way? I was in the car with my gay best friend and his boyfriend going to Chick-fil-A to go see Ender's Game. And I'm like, you know what? If it's what they want, it's what we're doing.
Was it a showing at Westboro Baptist? Where? Jesus.
At the ArcLight.
Okay.
Right next to the Chick-fil-A.
Of course. I miss ArcLight, but go ahead.
And what was I had another great thing, but I blanked on it.
Was it about engaging with all these canceled stars?
I had a great argument on the Hitler thing. I almost tweeted this today. There's nothing more dangerous than a shitty artist. Tucker Carlson failed the whole Republican Party, all those Republican pundits, all of them. If you go and dig into them, they're all failed some sort of wanting to be filmmaker, entertainer, something.
Yeah,
and they were
Vance.
shitty. And they're filled with hate. And they find that the only people that will appreciate them for making things, which is what they want to do, is if they make the hateful, shitty nonsense for the group of shitty, worse people that don't have anyone making things for them. Why did Hitler become Hitler? Because he sucked at art and nobody liked him, so he became fucking Hitler. I wouldn't like Hitler's art because it's bad art.
Yeah, I heard someone once say that we wouldn't have gotten the Iraq War if George Bush knew how to paint better. And I was like, well, it plays. Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, all these things, it is interesting to see when people make that pivot. You know, I mean, you look back at Trump. Trump only let Home Alone 2 film at his hotel if he could be in it.
Oh, I almost shared. There was an Onion headline today that was so funny. It was like, director of Home Alone 2 says he has hours of Trump saying racial slurs. Hours of unused.
Interesting. Okay, well, I mean, this all dated back to what you want to do after you release your special, and it sounds like maybe pick up painting. Is that?
I'd like to make a narrative. I need to get back to my like focus screenplay writing ways that I used to have. Which
do you even have the time?
It's hard. I want to cut down a lot of things I'm doing. I've been feeling.
You're editing right now?
Yeah, I'm finishing off Liz Glazer's special, which I directed, and then I have mine to edit.
Do you feel as though the proliferation of specials at less experienced points in people's careers is making the idea of a special less inherently special?
Oh, yeah, clearly.
And does it bother you? I saw yours. I liked it a lot, but it's in a sea of diluted shit. So is it going to stand out?
I think it is what it is. You know, it's everything is what it is. I talk about this with my therapist a lot. It's like,
I know we talked before this.
I think oftentimes about how the things I wanted to be when I was a kid don't really exist anymore. At least not in the way I wanted them then. Like movie stars don't happen in the same way they used to happen anymore.
They do, but it's different.
It's different. It's all different. And it's also kind of shitty to be famous now.
Yes.
Fame is almost an affront to everyone at this point. People see everyone wants to be famous now, so anyone that becomes famous is almost like a knife in everyone's gut.
And everyone turns on that person.
All people want to do is take down the person who has the thing to make them feel better about themselves.
You know what's crazy? So, you know, people always say like, you know, punching up is okay and punching down is not. There is an indie band that I like called Lawrence. TikTok just entirely turned on Lawrence. Just entirely turned on Lawrence because they were posting a lot of TikTok videos, like with their songs and whatever. People found out that their father was a movie producer, I believe, or a music producer. I don't know exactly what he did, but he was in Hollywood. So they are, for better or worse, nepo babies. However, the lead singer, it's brother and sister. The male is an incredibly talented musician, Berklee School of Music trained. Like neither of them are slouches, right? But all of TikTok, I've never seen them take down someone who's not that popular. Like Lawrence is not headlining arenas, but TikTok just was like, nah, fuck you. And then boom, in immediately.
Here's my take on nepo babies. The only thing that bothers me about a nepo baby is if they're like, I didn't have any advantages to get where I was. As long as you acknowledge that,
yeah,
I'm like, what are you gonna do? You didn't choose that. And if I was in your position, I'd be upset at you if you weren't taking advantage of your advantages.
100%. I loved, Jack Quaid, who I've met and is a wonderful guy.
I know Jack, sort of.
Yeah, I could not have nicer things to say about him. I think that he is a good actor. I think that I enjoy watching him in things. Like that is the thing that a lot of people don't.
I also
think
don't
about.
like when I don't think they're good.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to think of any. Oh, I can think of one.
I can tell you one. I feel like it's people get upset. I really just don't think Josh David Washington is John David Washington. John David Washington is a good actor.
I don't think I've seen him in anything. I saw Black Klansman. I think he was in there.
That's the thing he's best in. Like, there's a couple of movies I've seen him in that I just really didn't. That sci-fi movie he was just in, The Creator. Sometimes you're just getting opportunities before you're ready for them.
I think that's true. And that goes back to my argument about all these comedy specials.
Well, it's funny, you know, and I'm especially feeling it in this very current moment where I'm like annoyed by how hard everything is and how hard I feel like I'm working and the place I'm at. However, I don't feel like I would trade any of like the struggle for making it earlier.
No.
I love this part. I can't wait to be done with it, but I loved it.
Yeah, I have trouble. I just talked about this in therapy. I have my therapy on Mondays, and I just talked in therapy about the ideas that I have trouble.
We call this podcast Jews in Therapy.
Yeah. I have trouble divorcing the process from the outcome. And so like if the outcome is bad, even if even if I felt like the process, like I was happy to even have the opportunity to go through the process, I'm still like, well, who cares? Right. Okay. So like I spent Friday night hitting open mics. Okay. Which is fine. Like I enjoy that. It was good. It was good. I liked it a lot. It's a sad these days where I don't really see as much of my friends at them. But I enjoyed it. But it's like, am I going to miss schlepping for a slotted mic on a Friday night? Like, no.
No, but you're going to romanticize it when you don't have to do it anymore.
Yeah, of course. I romanticize everything I don't have to do anymore. Okay. Are you ready for the final segment?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. So the final segment is called the lightning round. It's 5 fast questions. They do not at all have to be fast answers. I keep this index card not because I don't remember them, but because this, I believe, is the closest I'll be to a late night talk show host. And I feel like I'd be the kind who like rips up a card and tosses it afterward. Could you see that in me? Maybe not.
I don't know.
Okay. Interesting. Question 1, what is a favorite ritual of yours? So for example, I love brewing tea in the morning.
Man, it's frustrating because I don't do it currently, but during the pandemic, I would wake up in the morning, I would journal, I would work out, I would make breakfast, 2 eggs, bacon, and half an avocado, and it would just start my day right.
That entire thing you managed to do every day?
Every day.
How long did that take? That had to be like 2 hours, 3 hours.
You wake up and then you sit down and I just write 3 pages freehand off the top of my head, or just like whatever. Or sometimes I write like, I don't have anything to say, but just put the 3 pages down.
Artist way style.
Artist way style. Literally. Yeah. I was doing the artist way, but I kept the journaling going. And then 30-minute workout and then breakfast.
What time are you waking up for this? Gotta be early.
I was probably in the winter, probably around 10. When it was hotter outside, probably around 8.
Yeah, I was expecting more like 7, and then you're like 10. I'm like, huh?
During the pandemic, I worked from home.
Fair enough.
What did I have to be up for? I was staying up later watching movies at night.
Oh God, that's one thing I really do miss.
But I would say of all of that, the making breakfast, the reward of the bacon, eggs, and half an avocado,
delicious,
was great, and I was so excited about it every day.
That's a good answer. What question 2? What is a running bit you have with a friend or partner that makes you laugh?
A friend that I am not friends with anymore from a long time ago. There was a Mr. Show sketch where like this character calls the president, the president answers the phone. It's like this is the president. Is like dumb fuck. He's like shithead, and we were just always like call each other and be like dumb fuck. He's like shithead. How you doing, you cocksucking piece of shit, son of a bitch.
You hope neither you ever puts it on speaker. That's question 3. What is a very controversial opinion that you have?
I really believe that art is objective. I think of art. I think of stand up. I think of painting. All these things. It's like sports. I listen to Kobe Bryant interviews to prepare for stand up. People are great at sports because they work at sports. They have natural talent at sports, and all of those things lead to them being the best in the world. And because sports is so quantifiable with winning and losing, it's easy to say that who's the best tennis player is objective. It's one-on-one. One guy wins the most tournaments. That guy's the best. I believe that with art too. There's people who are more talented than other people, that work harder than other people, that put in the effort, and that there is a accumulation that leads to a higher quality of something than something else. Now, it's harder to quantify, but I do believe it's subjective.
What happens then if you look at a movie that half the people like and half the people hate? You're saying half of that population is wrong.
Yes.
Interesting.
Well, here's the question. What did I think of it?
Yeah.
Look, I'm not the objective decider. It's funny to say something's objective that there is no way to objectify. Sure. Is that the correct? to
qualify objectively.
To qualify objectively,
Mm-hmm.
But I do believe that there is objectively better art.
For me personally, I don't know if I believe objectively there is good and bad art. I will say, like, you don't know our producer Jude very well, but I can guarantee his and my taste in films are wildly different. But I don't think that means that the films he likes are objectively bad because I don't like them. I also think that it means that he may have an appreciation for things I don't. But I'll also say this. There are athletes that are considered great that I don't have an affinity for because I don't like their style. Some people think objectively, this is what people say, objectively, that Russell Westbrook is an incredible basketball player. I think that if you look at him play, objectively, he played out of position at the detriment of his team to stat pad and become the MVP. Now, that is my opinion, right? But I think other people would say you're wrong. That I don't know how objectively possible it is to qualify him, but like I'm okay with that opinion.
I think objectively, to score a triple double in the NBA, you have. I don't care. There's nothing in the world I could do to score a point in the NBA.
That's true. That's true.
So
but I'm saying
objectively, to achieve a triple double, Bronny James, like LeBron James' son, who's in the NBA, may never get a triple double.
okay, let me rephrase this. Objectively, I don't think Russell Westbrook is top 50 all-time NBA player.
Okay. That's different, but
Yeah,
but
not even
still
close.
being one of the top 300 NBA players of all time is objectively incredible.
It is objectively incredible, unless people are saying that you are a top 10, top 15 player, which is what people say.
Yeah, I don't think people. I can definitely come up with at least 20 better.
Yeah, right now. Active players. Okay, question 4. What is have you ever experienced imposter syndrome? And is there one particular moment that sticks with
All
you?
the time, right now.
Right now?
Yeah.
In this moment?
I mean, just like in my life at the moment.
Oh, I thought you meant because
All the time. You got to fight it. You got to fight it constantly. I mean, the thing I tell myself, I remember when I was making the documentary and I was going to interview Judd Apatow, and I was like,
Was that your biggest moment of imposter syndrome?
well, I was, I was nervous about it, and I was saying to myself, I'm like, you're here and you're doing this because you got yourself here to do this. So you have to accept that you deserve this because you're here.
Yeah, you wouldn't be there if you did.
You wouldn't be there if you didn't.
Unless you had a famous father and you nepo babied your way in.
Someone said something that I really thought is like amazing. Being an artist is being a raging narcissist with crazy self-doubt.
Yeah.
It's like the back and forth of like, I'm the greatest person in the world, I'm the worst person that's ever lived.
Yeah. What I always say is that you need to have a level of delusion to be one of the best.
Well, it's funny. I mean, I even think about my documentary. It's like I look at the guy I made my film about, and I look at him.
Do you want to tell the audience who that is?
Yeah, Alu Bell. Movie's called Mentally Al. You can watch it for free on Amazon.
Love it. Nice plug.
I look at him and I say to myself, "Wow, he's everything I want and everything I fear in one person."
Yeah. I think a lot of women think that about me. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. All right. Question 5, final question. What is your favorite tea? And if you don't have a favorite tea, I will flip it to what is your favorite comfort?
I'll answer both.
Ooh, okay.
I really
2 for 1.
like. I'm going to say it wrong because I don't know the correct way to say it. ACAI.
Oh, acai.
Acai.
Mhm.
I really like. I get into when I'm
They
needing
make
to
it acai tea?
Yeah.
Lovely.
And comfort. I love old fashions,
Ooh.
but like I'm snobby about it.
Yeah, good old fashioned, not the ones where they just essentially like throw a little simple syrup and
I
some.
make an incredible old fashioned.
Well, you should have brought one here.
I make multiple versions of incredible old fashions, but yeah, I've really I even got myself a clear ice cube maker.
Oh.
So I make the big square clear ice cubes.
Hey, I'll tell you, and this is a very dumb take. Every drink tastes better when it's got clear ice in it.
You know what? If I'm at a restaurant and the ice cube isn't a big single ice cube in my old fashioned, it's already ruined for me. It's already ruined.
Oh my
If I don't get a
God.
big ice cube, I'll accept like 3 medium ice cubes.
Uh-huh.
But like
You won't take Sonic crushed ice. That's where you draw the line.
when there's like a bunch of ice in it, I'm like, well, this sucks. I'm like, it's like, and it melts too fast. The whole point of the old fashioned is like you hit that sweet spot where it
Oh, for
tastes
sure.
perfect, where the ice is melted just enough, and
That's a great answer.
it's really, yeah.
That's the pod. How do you feel?
I feel good. I was going to say early on, I was watching the clips online. I was seeing the pod. I was like, the fuck is this guy not invited me to do the pod yet?
Did you actually feel that way?
I feel that about everything.
Great.
But I did think, I was like, this guy's having steep conversation. He doesn't think I'm going to have a good steep conversation with
I
him.
think we steeped hard just now.
Yeah, I don't want to, I haven't listened to every episode. I've listened to one, but I would argue this is the best episode of your podcast yet.
You know what? Okay, we're going to let the viewers decide. Everyone who's watching this, we get a bunch of viewers on YouTube. Is this the best episode we've ever had? Comment. Let me know. That was Josh Edelman. You can find him on Instagram at Josh Edelman Comedy and on TikTok at The Edelmeister. This episode was produced by Jude Crowner. It was edited by Martin Alvarez. Our theme song and additional music are by Oliver Hymack. Our cover art was done by Neil Fraser with photography by Matt Mazisco. Social media by Dia Villegas. Please write a review and rate our podcast on Apple Podcasts and wherever else you can. You can send any questions, comments, newly friend game suggestions, or tea suggestions to steepcombos@gmail.com or tweet us at steepconvos. I'm Josh Lanzette, and you can follow me on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook at Josh Lanzette. We'll be back next week, so until then, happy steeping.
I just kind of feel like enjoy things. Like stop letting these bad people ruin your enjoyment of their things.
Yeah, okay. Well, I mean, when are you going to start hanging up, Hitler's paintings in your house? You going to start getting those going?
All right, once you've killed 1 million people.